Today, we got a rapid fire for you with questions submitted by a real live listener. Shout out to Trey. Thank you for your 6 questions. We're going to go through all 6 in one shot. I've convinced Jeremy to give every single question his maximum brain power. No, I didn't have to twist his arm. We're excited. If you're listening and you want to throw questions our way, that's podcast@quickmail.io. And with that, we're just going to dive in because it's rapid fire. Jeremy.
All right, let me put a 10 minutes on a timer and let's go through it. I'm excited to get those questions.
Number 1, in a podcast, you mentioned that you would not use hello in a greeting in a cold email. Like, hello, John. Why not use hello? I'm not following. Okay. I think the short answer is it's pretty darn formal and overly used with traditional cold email outreach. Is that it? You want to sound like you're writing to your colleague?
I don't know. I personally don't know because it's, English is not my mother language. So I use usually hi, like maybe it's more casual.
Yeah. So Trey, let me help you out with this, and fellow listener. The worst way you can start a cold email, as we all know, is dear sir. That's the
Correct.
worst. And why is that bad though? Why is that bad?
I think it came from a lot of spammer from India at some point with like cheap solution and stuff.
Yeah,
and they were,
fine, but if that's not why it's bad. It's bad because we don't speak like that. Like, the people you do business with are not saying dear sir when they write to you. And if they are, then you live in Germany.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Right. In Europe, it happens, like especially in UK. I worked in a bank and stuff, and there was always like dear that was used all the
But
time.
dear sir?
Not sir, you're right. It was the name, right? It would be dear Jack, I receive you, whatever.
Okay,
A
so
more formal tone. So I have nothing against formal tone, but the problem is effectively it's been used or overused in outreach.
correct. Yeah, so I'll move on because this is rapid fire. But the idea I kind of keep in mind is when you are sending a cold email, the best ones feel like it was written one-to-one. The best ones are written one-to-one, but if you can't sit there and do it one at a time, then you better make sure your email reads as close as possible. Like you took out your phone and you typed a colleague a message. And if that's what you're modeling, and in the advertising world, they call them adverts, where like the ad is kind of native within the magazine or newspaper. You can't really see that it's a clear advertisement. That's what you're doing here. So a cold email that starts hello name doesn't really resemble how we're sending emails to colleagues. So
yep, I'm
next,
okay.
Let's do it. Alrighty, let's talk geographic location and culture when you write outreach. So Trey's asking, let's consider geographic location and culture of the recipients of your cold email. Can you give me some examples of how you've dealt with this? For example, my customers are oil and gas companies and construction companies in the Southeast USA. Is it important to, quote, talk like your recipients, end quote?
That's a good question.
Jeremy, this is for you because you're in Europe, where languages itself changes across borders. So how would you tackle this?
I honestly believe I honestly believe that's the same in USA, right? Like you probably wouldn't talk the same from someone in New York versus someone in San Francisco versus someone in Austin, maybe, or someone.
Fine, but if you're going to go that far, that fast, how do you talk to someone in New York and how do you talk to someone in San Fran? Because I'm sitting here saying I'm not real clear about that right now.
Right. So for me in Europe, there are some I would say implicit way of communicating. Like if you're talking, for example, for German, you have to use very formal tone. Otherwise, that doesn't match. Like in French, you have the word you, for example, could be used as formal or informal. It leads to 2 different words, right? Which is
Got it.
tu
Yeah.
or vous. And one is you use only with friends or with close relative, and the other
And
one
the
you
other's for
use
boss or teachers, right?
exactly, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of like play around with those things.
Mhm.
But if you're doing your outreach into one language, then I think that comes back to the way you're expressing it. I'll just give like a quick example. When I was like contacting the very first time I did outreach, even before quick mail, I was contacting doctors and I was using
Doctors,
the word.
not personal finance.
Oh, that was even before. I tried a different
Okay.
market, even before. And it basically used the word users or clients instead of, oh yeah, the word clients instead of patients. I got so
Uh-huh.
much shit out of that.
Worse if you reach out and don't say Dr. Smith. If you just say,
That's true
hey,
too.
John, I didn't
Yeah.
go to medical school for 12 years to be called my.
I think the
Okay,
best is
so
really to speak the language. They're
it,
there, right? That
it
is
is
there.
in both senses of the word. So
Correct.
you would adjust for like the native mother tongue, but you would also, if you're working with oil and gas companies in the
Yeah.
Southeast, talk like your buyers talk and you'll do better. I think this is more important when you're cold calling. So I've had a client who told me also in kind of the construction industry, they say when they go to trade shows, the wrong way to approach people is, hello, how are you today? Can we talk? Uh, their best salesperson, I was like trying to figure out how they sell this thing. And he's like, I'll walk to people in a trade show and say, what are y'all building right now? Right. What are y'all building right now? And that was a tested phrase that just happened to put the guards down. Okay,
It's
my
brilliant.
people, let's talk about what. So model that. There's a second part to this question. We'll go real quick. Trey's saying if someone uses cheers in their email, I'm out. I'm not going to reply. Who actually says that in real life? Okay.
UK people. There's a lot of cheers. There's a lot of cheers in email for
Beautiful.
UK.
So if you're going to different parts, maybe show your copy and check that it sounds like your buyer.
Right.
Let's move on. What's qualified lead?
Who qualifies
So
a lead?
we fight on this a little bit, Jeremy, because I call a lead what some people call a prospect. Okay.
No,
But
I
let's
agree with you.
yeah
100%. A prospect is before they become a lead. It's like who you want to talk to. And the one who
yeah
raise their hands are called leads. I think it's a misuse of the word leads. And so we kind of
Mhm.
like, went with the flow, but I disagree.
Yeah. Okay. So Trey and fellow listener, a qualified lead is someone that is fitting your ICP, someone that's got a budget, a need, looks and smells like the kind of people and companies you work with, and they have taken a step to engage with your offer. That could be a call booked, and in some companies, that's what they consider a sales qualified lead. Others have said, this sounds interesting. We need to get this planned for Q3. Let's talk then. So company by company, there's different definitions, but
Yep.
it's important to agree on a set definition for your sales team and stick with that so you know where people are in the sales pipeline and effort. Okay, carry on.
Yeah.
Two more. Jack and Jeremy, I love that you define success or the purpose of a cold email was to get a phone call with that decision maker.
I
Not
don't.
really. It's not really what we did. We said to start a conversation, and that
Exactly,
is
right?
different. And that is different than a phone call. But
100%.
fine,
Open a
fair enough.
conversation.
I
Yes.
still love you, Trey. Now he says that's great, and I can usually close the deal if that happens. But I'm new to cold emailing, and initially thought that a sale is what we were going after when we do cold email. So, what do I gauge
Mm,
success with? Is it my sales or is it my conversation started?
that makes sense. I think
Good
I,
question.
I think if you do it as a parallel with website, for example, when you get a visitor on your website, it will go through a few funnels before or a few parts before it could effectively make the sales. I think it's the same with cold outreach. Like you send an email first, and then you have the goal of that email to do the next step. And if the next step for you is a credit card, then that's going to be very difficult to actually connect, right? It's like if I go to the website and I need to enter my credit card before even like, knowing exactly what the tool is about and stuff like that. So
Correct.
you need a few
Correct.
steps, and I think each of those steps require their own goals. And that's
Mhm.
how I would approach it. What would you say, Jack?
Yeah, I would just say define success for your cold outreach effort as conversations with leads in your ICP started. Why? If you tie it to dollars in the bank, it may be in some industries 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months before those deals convert to cash. And therefore, you need leading metrics that make sure you're on the right path. And that's where conversation started with the right buyer.
Yeah,
Pricing's
great way of
great.
seeing that. Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. We got a final one, Jeremy. And this is kind of cool because it's a tactic that if you so choose, listener/viewer, you can use it right now. Shameless plug. We got course.quickmail.io with all this stuff and more. I'm also spinning up a LinkedIn outreach masterclass for those of us who just want to geek out on the LinkedIn channel. We got Jeremy running quickmail.com if you want to send like the pros do, and then whatever.
Now there's no time anymore.
We're out of time.
Trey.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. See ya.
All right. What's the last question?
Let's get serious about it. I'm wearing a collared shirt today, Jeremy. Come on. I have a question about a tactic. Does it really work if you run a cold email campaign offering gift cards in exchange for someone's time? For example, if I got an email from salesforce.com and they want to quote, buy me lunch in order to discuss a better CRM for my company, I think I'd take it. Should I try that campaign?
Yeah. Did you have any clients who tried this campaign, or did you actually try the campaign with one of your clients?
I was on I've actually run a gift card campaign as a final touch, and it was for whatever, a PPC like agency, and they were pretty much willing to go to great lengths to talk to these people because they knew the sales ticket was pretty big. And I convinced them to throw it at the very end. Why? Because I didn't want people to say yes just to get the gift card, because if in the background they had an amazing agency they were already using, it'd be a complete waste of time. So use the gift card angle if you fall into two scenarios. You're selling something high ticket and you happen to believe that if you could only sit down for 15 minutes with your buyer, you'd have a 70% close rate regardless of their situation, right? Like that doesn't happen a lot, but that's where I see it come in. I've even seen like, hey, I'll buy you a Bose headphone if you sit with me. And I know someone on the receiving end who was like, screw it, I'll take a meeting. But it didn't lead to business because they wanted headphones. They didn't, right? You got anything there?
Of course. No, I mean that makes total sense. What would you think about the amount? Because of course, like some deals are like in the thousands and thousands, like even in the 5 digits for yearly deals, type of thing. So, throwing $100 Amazon gift, like who cares? Or like, offering a lunch on Uber Eats or whatever, like again, who cares, right? That's not a big thing. So would you actually put a dollar amount on it? Or would you experiment with $10, a coffee, like $8 or whatever, or like 100?
So probably not. I wouldn't experiment on the low end. I'd probably experiment on the high end, like, hey, join me in my box seats. We're going to go to the Knicks game and have a good time with other, construction or software people.
And of course, you'll do that when you're offering a $9 a month plan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it can be appropriate, but it's not a new thing, right? Like the company box seats at the football game or soccer stadium, like that's tried and true, going back 100 years. So I think the gift card is just a digital way to convey that value, but I've always hesitated because you don't want the people talking to you for
it's conflicting interest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what about this? We're way over time, but what if you had a qualifier? If you're not thrilled with your PPC agency and you join me for a call, no matter how it goes, I'm going to give you a $250 gift card. The only thing I ask is you're generally open to talking about different strategies that we see work for your kind of company. You qualify them,
Yeah, tricky. Wise, I think we use Wise, a bank, right? And at some point they were trying to get $100 for an hour of my time to come and talk with them. I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, unless it's $1,000 an hour, like it's not worth my time. So that was like, that's kind of like a funny, reverse. So I think it would work if You know how
$100 for a
much,
full hour? They wanted a full hour
yeah,
from
or
you?
45 minutes, whatever. And I'm like, I'm not giving my time for that. Anyway, I didn't want to anyway, but I think maybe that's the trick. You need, depends on your industry, how much people are paid, and then you pay them less than what they will be paid for the time going on call with you. Right? That may,
No, you're saying not to pay them less.
no, I say to pay them less. So for example, let's say you value your time 1,000 an hour, then you provide, you say, hey, let's jump with me an hour for $500 or whatever, like something less, because that wouldn't make sense for them to jump on a call with you because they will be making more money per hour rather than actually. So they will basically sacrifice
Nah,
some.
I don't
No,
think so.
you
I
don't
don't.
see
I
that
think
this way.
that's. I think we're taking maybe two steps away from like the crux of it. Whereas like, should you trade dollars for people filling seats and sales calls? Reason I'm saying like me is because it, like,
Oh,
did you read what's that book? Thinking Fast and Slow. They talk about game theory and what we're willing to do to lose money and to win money, and the
that's
difference is
right.
substantial. So as you approach the hourly rate, I think it matters less and less. There's diminishing returns on the additional dollar as you get close enough. So if you undercut it, I think it's still this question of, am I going to do this in exchange for money less than, I don't think the computation is,
Yeah,
let
not
me
everyone
calculate
thinks
what
like
I would
that.
do
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
elsewhere. Right.
Exactly.
So
Not everyone thinks like that. That's true.
I stand with the, if you're in those two scenarios, selling something of value and you know damn well you're going to have a 70% close rate, and then you add the qualifier.
Yeah, I mean, the best is obviously try all as a gift, like, sending a box of your goodies, like where do I
Yeah.
send it type of thing,
Yeah.
or yeah, or if you Uber Eats, just giving them like a discount on Uber Eats and said dinner is, lunch is on us because it
Right.
doesn't cost you as much.
God, we can talk forever. I've had a
Yeah, sorry,
client
this is a
who,
cast, right?
that is it? Are we still recording? I had a client who was doing like corporate lunch service. They would like
Yeah,
deliver
I
lunches
love
to a bunch
those
of
ones.
startups in New York.
So
Yeah,
great.
and what was their in like? I'm gonna buy you and 10 of your employees lunch on Friday. I'm gonna
But
be
you
in
know
your
what?
building anyways.
You know why it makes sense?
People loved
Because
it.
people keep eating. It's not like if like it's a no, but it's not like if it's a headphone. I give you a headphones. It's like okay, and then for the next 6 years, you're never going to get any headphones or whatever, right? But eating is like you do it every day. So if you like it, you say, well, why not? It's like the pizza next to the corner or
There you
whatever.
go.
So anyway,
We need to end this GD cast. I hope this was helpful, Trey. Thanks for submitting. And again, that's a podcast@quickmail.io if you want to shoot over some rapid fire questions. Thanks, Jeremy. This is cool.
yeah. Thanks, Jack. Bye.
All right. See ya.